All right, so now that we are live streaming on Facebook and we are recording this session, I'd like to welcome everybody again, right, and for the last time, to the final Fireside chat of BlastOff 2021, a Talenox milestone event. So with us today, we have quite a few talented individuals, right, joining us for this session on how and why customer success is different from customer support.
Oh, cannot finish it. No, it's okay. Just now it froze a while. Wi-Fi. Like a shot or...
If not, I guess.
It's okay.
Sorry, I dropped off. So let me just repeat again. So, all right. So we're live streaming this on Facebook, and we are also, recording this. So today we have quite a few special individuals with us today. And for this session, the moderator will be our very own jolly good CEO, Gordon. So Gordon, it is now over to you to kickstart the session.
Thank you so much, Kenneth, for hosting. Okay, let's kickstart the last session, which is how and why customer success is different from customer support. Today we have Chloe from Talenox, Chris from Ebury, Nigel from Roubler, and myself, Gordon from Talenox, going through with you this session. I'll be moderating the session. And it'd be great to hear from our dear three speakers regarding this topic. Yeah, so I think CS has been a relatively technical term. A lot of people will link CS to customer success and support, although it's actually more for customer success. And people tend to have that mix up between customer support and success. It's definitely something that is very, very important. As we can see, successful companies like Zappos, if not for their great customer support and success, they won't be able to be who they are today. Yeah, so looking forward to this session from sharing by everybody. Let's kickstart by having an introduction from everyone. Let's start with Chloe, followed by Chris, and then Nigel. Chloe, over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm Chloe, a customer success advocate from Talenox. And I'm pretty sure most of you already have gone through multiple introductions of Talenox, so I won't reiterate anymore. So my role in our team actually involves mostly being more on the ground with our users, understanding their problem space, and eventually helping them get better at whatever they do. So the goal is really to help our users minimize the time spent on their HR processes through the use of Talenox so that they can focus more on pressing matters like revenue growth, finding opportunities for their businesses to grow even more. Yeah. So,
all right, Chris, over to you.
Get on to the next person.
So my computer froze up for a second. So I believe we're doing introductions, right?
Yes,
yeah. Yes, okay.
Oh, we didn't know that it froze out.
So yeah, my name is Chris Welch. I'm with Ebury. My division within Ebury focuses on what we call or classify as mass payments. And usually that's when you have one funding currency that we pay out cross-border to multiple beneficiaries and multiple currencies around the world, all in one go. And that kind of lends itself to more HR type payments, particularly like payroll payments. We have a lot of client mobility type payments and EOR, employer of record type payments that we do for, let's say, housing expenses, those sort of things. So yeah, that's kind of who we are and what we specialize in and what we do.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Chris. Over to you, Nigel.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. And first of all, thanks for the opportunity to join you on your BlastOff webinar series. Really quite appreciative that we can be part of this together. So first of all, my name's Nigel Ritson. I am the COO of Roubler, which is a sort of a I'd like to say global company right now. Started off in Australia, grew to Singapore, which I was part of that sort of on the ground growth in Singapore, and then South Africa, where I'm actually broadcasting from right now due to travel restrictions, and also grew to London. And I just want to say, there's a famous statement by Buffett who says, companies with delighted customers have salespeople out there, and I think this is the whole topic today. Customer success is key in that. So yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Okay, great. Thanks for introductions by all of you. Let's kickstart with the first question. So customer success and support seems to be really similar, and many people will actually confuse both of them. What will you define as the difference between both customer success and support? And it'd be great to learn from Chris. Like, is there any differentiation over in Ebury, and how customer success and support is being practiced over at Ebury? Yeah.
Yeah, I think customer success and customer support are very closely linked. It's almost when I saw the topic, I thought same, but different, right? But particularly, I think customer success is more of a reactive or a proactive engagement that you have with the client and the customer. And then customer support is going to be a bit more reactive. And I can kind of get into a little bit like how we approach it. I mean, especially when you break it down to the most simple terms, you think of customer success. I mean, customer success also, in my opinion, begins at almost the pre-sale cycle when you're working with the client. A lot of it is understanding your client's objectives. What are they hoping to get from your service, and why should they move forward in working together with you? And so the whole model for customer success is holding each other accountable to what those goals are, what those ideas are, what the reasons why they chose to work with you in the first place in order to provide that success. And so a lot of it starts at the beginning, understanding the client, understanding what their initiatives are, what their goals are, why are they going to use your service, why are they going to use your product, and aligning what you do to help them succeed in their business. And then it goes through implementation, so making sure that those objectives and those goals are aligned and that they're met. And then once the client is on board and they start using your service, it's almost a function of being like a concierge, of working one-on-one with the client to make sure that what you are providing is helping them actually provide the service to their underlying clients. So it's a high level of engagement. It's a high level of making sure that your business objectives and their business objectives are aligned, so that there is a high level of engagement on both sides to provide the resources that your product does to help their company thrive. And then you move over to customer support. So customer support is maybe more of a reactive engagement, where, let's say, for example, they need help with login information, or they need help with accessing information or material, or they just have some frequently asked questions, and that information that you can provide them that provides the infrastructure that they need in order to use the product or to use the service. So kind of in a nutshell, that the customer success will be a high level of engagement to make sure that the business objectives are aligned, and that there's a high level of engagement that those goals are met from both parties to make sure that your underlying client is successful. And then when you have the customer support, it's more of the day-to-day operational type things where they need help with certain aspects. And that's kind of the approach that we take to it. They're both, you have to have both components, but I think one is a little bit more of a high level, higher engagement through the beginning of the sales process, all the way through the client onboarding, and then through the whole product lifecycle that you have with the customer. Okay,
great. Really like the way you frame it to be reactive and proactive. I think that's a very good way of framing customer success and customer support respectively. Over to you, Nigel and Roubler. Is there like do you all split it very clearly between customer support and success, or is there kind of like overlap for both?
I think that's a really good question, and I mean, I think if you view the two functions as an ecosystem within an organization, I think that's quite key. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're all in customer success, right? Whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's support or customer success, we're all in the success of our customers, because ultimately by making them successful, that has a knock-on effect across the ecosystem. I think for us, does it overlap? Most definitely. It actually starts there. Customer success starts in customer support. One of our strategies is essentially to bring in customer success agents at the support level first, because they sort of get an idea of customer issues, challenges, as well as the product. I think the nature of your product actually determines the setup of these two functions and how they interact with each other. But just talking to Chris's point around the proactive and the reactive space. I mean, I think we've all designed our customer success framework in a similar way to some of the biggest organizations in the world, where you have sort of this tier one, which is customer support, which sort of filters the day-to-day questions on your product, your service, and how you react, and that's something you can scale at quite big volumes in terms of cost within an organization. And specifically, I think we're all in tech, specifically in that tech space. And then you've got obviously your customer success, which is a little bit more costly to maintain, but also those are individuals then that have an in-depth customer view of the problem or the product, etc., and obviously can proactively react to situations with customers rather than reactively formulating that. But I think, from a funnel point of view, customer support is where it starts, and customer success is essentially where it retains and where it becomes a sustainable function within an organization.
Thank you so much for sharing, Nigel. I think just now you were mentioning one portion on scaling. Later, we can actually go deeper into that, like to understand how it actually evolve for a company like a startup like Roubler, from startup to the current stage of growth. But let's visit that later. Next up would be Chloe. It would be great to know how Talenox is practicing it, and what are the benefits of how you see customer support and success is being practiced in Talenox for our customers. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So actually in Talenox, it's quite interesting because our customer success team is actually our support team as well. So we do both in tandem. So with such a small team at the moment, it's actually pretty difficult to adopt a very high touch approach to all of our customers. So we've found ways to try to scale our interactions in more of a feasible way for our success team. So support is actually our helping arm that allows us to really grasp the situations or like rather the issues that our users are facing, and subsequently help to improve on our product offerings as a result. So most of the time, our users also come out of our interactions knowing a bit more than they thought they needed to know. So in that sense, it comes towards working towards their goals and their eventual, like what they want to do with the product, whether they have achieved what they needed with the product or their actions needed within Talenox itself. So I think that works towards the success portion. Obviously, eventually in the future, once we scale, there will need to be a separation in the two functions. But for now, our team is actually working hand in hand, customer success and support together at the moment. And this has really helped most of our users actually get a very good grasp, because the onboarding process is through support as well. So the onboarding process it's quite a smooth one as we go along, because the same people are the ones that are helping them through the entire onboarding process setup. And then after that, interactions is maintained through the same channel as well. So it's quite seamless. Yeah. And in terms of the types of things that I feel a customer success team actually benefits a company is that it actually encourages like customer retention and loyalty. So when customer success is done right, it actually has the power to help a company grow their base of promoters and advocates, because they've had a good experience with the product. They realize that the product has actually helped them to achieve their goals. And this actually even helps to boost renewal rates, cost of acquisition. So I actually believe that all these different factors are very important, because they are driving factors to the rise of importance in customer success in general. So especially for SaaS companies like ours, we need to be able to take a proactive stance with our customers to help them see the value and the success of the product they are using, which encourages customer renewals. So things like encouraging customer retention and loyalty, reducing churn, all of these different factors are the benefits that customer success can bring to you. And it's important because it directly affects a company's bottom line. Customer retention is a very huge thing, I would say. So therefore, a success team is actually very important towards a company's growth.
Yeah. Thank you so much for going deep into the CS portion with customer success on how beneficial it will be for the users. So next up, as we understand the difference between customer success and support, it'll be interesting to learn from, especially from Roubler and Ebury, that how you guys actually build up your customer support and success teams, and is there a specific methodology that you go about hiring the team or expanding the team? Yeah, so it'd be great to learn from, maybe kickstart with Nigel from Roubler.
Sure, and Gordon, this journey, I think for us specifically at Roubler, is an evolving journey. And I think we've made a few mistakes along the way, but we've definitely learned from sort of best in breed on how to do this successfully. Just talking to Chloe's point, customer success is definitely in some ways done by the same people as customer support. We took a strategy right in the beginning of our business to start to have a clear distinction between the two, and we built our customer support team outside of Roubler, which I think we get to a bit of a later stage in terms of the concepts and go-to-market strategies on support and customer success. But we built it outside of Roubler, and what we started to see is, as the business scaled, we had to start bringing support closer to customer success, and build from support into customer success, rather than having individuals just sitting on this outline area of support. So I think my advice in terms of looking to build a customer support or customer success team is really to take a medium view at what you want to achieve out of this team, as well as really focus on the tools that you'll use to scale it. I think people, it's hard to scale people, but it's very easy to scale the tools to make that process efficient. I think one of our lessons around building a customer support and customer service team or success team was to have the right information in the right places, so that you can scale those departments quite quickly. It's also down to the nature of your product, right? So if your product is a highly complex product, what kind of employee do you want servicing your customer, considering that it's the first place or sometimes the first interaction a certain user has with your product or your service. I think it's really critical to make sure that you've got the right talent in place. And there's that famous saying where they say, fire fast, hire slow. And I think hiring slow in these specific areas will sort of generate the value that you need to deliver to your customer as a first point of contact. I always say to my customer support team, you are first line of defense in terms of, and it's the first reaction or interaction a customer gets with the business and or product after it's been released. So you could have a fantastic sales process, you could have a fantastic implementation process, and it falls down at support. Your sustainability of a subscription-based economy is really affected by that. So a real true focus in the support and customer success side from a talent point of view. And I really do believe the talent has to be individuals that, and I mean, I can just see Chloe as a customer success person, just the way she talks, her energy, and a lot of it is about that. It's almost continuing the sales cycle, and I'm sure Chloe, you can comment on this, but you almost feel like a salesperson in customer success because you're continuing to upsell and to sell the benefits of the product and usage of the product with your team. So the talent piece is really important, and getting that sort of personality match to customer success I can only say is one of the key areas of focus, as well as then the tools that they utilize, whether it be Zendesk, whether it be Infocom, whatever your tool selection is, but make a decision on the tool set, taking a medium term to longer term view at what your framework is going to look like. Don't do it on the basis of today, because that's where the scale problem or scaling pains happen.
Okay. Thanks for sharing regarding that. As for Chris, for your case, Ebury actually acquired Frontier Pay. So along the journey, do you see like a difference in the way that the customer success and support was being built, or they actually like different kind of methodology that were being applied in building both of those teams?
Well, I think if you look at the nature of our business, especially when doing payments and doing particularly payroll, there's a lot of companies out there that can do payments. And payroll is one of the things that you cannot get wrong. When a company is using you to do the payments and to facilitate that, their reputation resides on our ability to deliver on their behalf. And if we fall short, then our customers are not happy. So the pillar of our business is our customer success and our client services team. Because if you think about it, we have clients coming to us and say, hey, I have to make 25,000 payments to maybe 50 or 60 different currencies. What IBANs do I need? What supporting documents do I need? What do I need so that when it comes time for payday or game day, that everything goes smooth? So the differentiator for our business is that team they're almost an extension of our customers' operations team. So they get into the nitty-gritty details in the dirt. Who are you paying? Where are they located? Because there are all kinds of AML requirements and policies and procedures and SOC codes and all these different things for all these different currencies. And this team is vital to being the differentiator for us. Because like a lot of our competitors, they say, okay, here's your login, here's your password, and here's your currencies, good luck. And then when it comes time to payday, if there's a payment that gets stuck on payday, everybody's in trouble. Nobody ever, even if there's a $5 short on the incoming funds, people know, even if you're getting paid $1 million, people get upset over that $5 thing. So on our side, it's the differentiator that makes us different. It's that higher level of touch that we can provide to our clients. Now, when we get into what I would say our customer support would be our operations team. So that's going to be the team that's handling the behind the scenes work. And if there's any kind of delay in the payment, or if there's a bank that comes back with requirements or questions, that team handles that. So the two work together. It's a well-functioned oiled machine that's working together. And like I said, you're asking like, what's the difference? I think the reason why in Ebury, we operate separately from the wider Ebury group, and it's just for that very reason. Because when it comes to payroll, it comes to those mass payments, we talk about customer success. Our customers are doing the payroll calculations, and the success of their business resides on our success to deliver. So that customer support team, that getting to know the client, getting to know all of their different aspects of what their payments and what their currency is going to be, who we're paying out to, is the backbone and the lifeline of our business. Salespeople are important. All the other parts of our team are important, but it's that customer success team that really drives the engagement with the client to get the requirements and to set everything up. So when those payments go out, everybody is successful. So I think that was one of the things that Ebury recognized when they brought on Frontier Pay, is like, hey, these guys kind of have this piece of business down and they know what they're doing. And when we came into the business, they offered us some additional facilities in terms of financial payment capabilities. But from an operational and engagement with the client side, they left it alone. And I think that is what makes us different. And we take a lot of pride in that.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. I didn't know that there's such a difference over between both sides of things after Ebury actually acquired Frontier Pay. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Talking about, I think that what was very interesting about sharing was that CS and also customer support for certain kind of companies, especially like when you're doing payroll and dealing with SaaS platforms that require a lot more statutory knowledge or even payments knowledge and so on. It's actually a lot more challenging as compared to support in general or success in general. So just curious, Chloe, since you are when you joined Talenox, you're kind of like a fresh grad, and I think you have an image of how joining a SaaS company is like. What are the challenges that you actually faced initially, and how you overcome it when you join a company like Talenox, where there's a lot of statutory knowledge that you require? What would you advise whoever is looking out for the customer success, customer support kind of role to kind of like look out for? Yeah.
So, okay, great question, Gordon. So yeah, I joined the company like maybe 1.5 years ago. So there are definitely a lot of things to catch up on, because as you know, payroll, statutory knowledge, all of that is very important to our customers. And it's as you mentioned, in terms of payroll wise, and as Chris has mentioned, even in terms of payroll wise, is even more important because people are very picky and they need their payments to come in as and when. It's very time sensitive, especially during payroll peak. So in terms of the challenges faced, it was quite overwhelming in terms of the knowledge needed and understanding how customer success actually works. Because honestly, it's quite a fluid term, I would say, especially for people not in the tech industry at the moment. When they first come in, it's a completely new role to them. They're like, what exactly is customer success? How do I practice this in like your job itself when you first come in as a fresh hire or new person to the whole industry in general? So like knowledge wise, definitely. And also, how do you adapt? How do you adapt to the changing landscapes and such? So in terms of like challenges wise, an advice that I will give people is that to keep an open mind. So in terms of people that we're looking to bring onto Talenox and such, we always look for people with an open mind to always look towards like coming into the company and making sure that they try their best. So with a lot of people that we bring to Talenox, we actually bring them through a lot of training and guidelines first. So things to ensure that they align the company values, how they talk to people and such. So like reading through statutory knowledge, going through the playbook, making sure you emulate all of the values, therefore keeping an open mind with everything that you do. So it's not the skills for customer success and support, I would say, is very easy to cultivate. Like you will be able to definitely cultivate it, but it's just about you as a person being able to adapt and be comfortable with all of the things that you're learning. Because everything is very new and it's very fresh. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much from your perspective. Next up will be just our question that I wanted to ask, which is customer success for startup versus scale up. I think some of you may have faced that, especially for Roubler. What were the challenges that you kind of like faced from startup phase until today, where you are in multiple countries, and how has your not just CS but customer support evolved, and is the evolution the same for both sides? Yeah, so would be great to learn from you regarding this. Yeah.
Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, and this is a topic that I really love. And it's not an easy topic, because I think there's lots of lessons, and in retrospect, many decisions we could have taken differently in the beginning. But I think it is definitely an evolving framework. It doesn't just start off and you're immediately successful. And I don't think, and just reiterating what Chloe and Chris was saying about the nature of the product. I mean, together with, we are integrated to Talenox from a payroll point of view, yet our team still need to have a payroll knowledge, right? We do HR, workforce management, and the whole life cycle. So our product is fairly complex. And let's be honest, one of the key areas that sometimes we forget, and I know we forgot it in the beginning, we went hunting. My founder, myself, we are hunters. We go out and find the business, right? And sometimes you forget about, well, how is it going to be supported longer term? But it comes down to the nature of the product, and then understanding that you need to protect this part of the business. We originally sort of started our customer support and customer success frameworks as one was outsourced and outside of the territories that we support, and one was in the territories that we support from a customer success point of view. I think our evolution is to bring that closer to the territories that we're in, and make customer success essentially a part of customer support, because we're all doing the same thing. But when I say protecting these people, it's important that, because 9 out of 10 times the people that are going to come through to support or customer success are people having a problem, whether it be a technical problem or whether it be a function problem or whatever it may be. And these people get hit by the same questions all the time, every day. And it's important that you build the culture first within these two areas of the business. And that culture has to be almost really on par with your vision and mission, but it has to be protected, and you cannot just see this as a transactional arm within the business, which a lot of companies do. They just have a support team because they need a support team because they're going to get queries, but actually really protect that division and department and include them in the overall culture set of the business. So I do believe culture's a big tip. Make sure that your customer support and success framework is really strong from a culture point of view, understanding the vision, make sure that they understand the strategy, not just, they're not just the support people. They understand they're part of the strategy. Why are we doing this every day? So the people aspect is a key item. I think in terms of startup to scale up, it's always difficult because you don't have the money. And these things need money. And I don't just speak for myself. I'm sure Gordon, Chris, you're the same. You can only scale to the point that you've got cash coming in the door. So it's a difficult thing to grow immediately from day one. But one of my tips is make sure that your strategy is in line with your product development. So in other words, the product development is customer facing, but it must have an element of supporting it along that journey. So in other words, how do you create better self-service? And in that way, from a product point of view, and that's why I call it an ecosystem, is that if you're focusing on the product being support orientated as well, so the product is supporting the customer through various means, AI, machine learning, whatever these great terms are, whether it's a tool like WalkMe or any of these tools that you have to assist customers to reduce that level of frustration in support. I do believe that the tool set or tool stack that you have is closely linked to the success of your customer success team and your vision on the product, always taking into account how does this affect our customer success team, or how does this affect support? Is this massive release that we're about to do now, it's going to result in a massive influx of support tickets, and therefore everyone's all over the place. So really having product connected to customer success, I think, is another one of those tips for me in sort of understanding how to scale the process. And probably for me, own it. Right, so from scale up to startup, startup, you can outsource it. You can start small, but as you scale, I think own the core. It is part of your core product. It's not a byproduct of the sale. It's part of the sale. Okay. So don't forget about that in the scale up piece.
Okay, thank you so much for your sharing. I mean, that totally agree on the fact that it has to be really tightly knitted to the product, and the platform that you're using will also represent your CS and your support well. So that's definitely something that everyone have to understand as they actually scale up along the way. For Chris, when Frontier Pay was being acquired by Ebury during the transition, I believe that it is already at the scale up phase. So it's already a very mature company. Do you see any difference from then till now during your 3+ years to 4 years being in Ebury? Like, are there any changes in terms of evolution in terms of the whole CS and support team? Yeah.
Well, I think, like I mentioned earlier, when we were brought over, we didn't really have a huge cultural or operational shift. They kind of let us do what we were doing and doing well. And like I mentioned, our customer success is like the fundamental pillar that's a differentiator for our business. And so, going back to like, what kind of people do you look for? Who do you hire? How do you know who's going to fit into this? I've always found that the best people that fit into customer success are probably like sometimes people that aren't always really want to be the people who carry a sales quota, but they like to be engaged with the client and like to work with the client and talk with them. But they're also great teachers. They like to explain things. They like to interact. They like to teach. They like to learn. I call them a teacher, but they like to explain things. They like to ask questions to the client. And sometimes when you have a customer support, they want to just answer the questions, right? Hey, how do I do this? Well, you do it by doing this. So I think when we're to go back, when you're talking about how do you identify, who do you talk to, and how do you identify the right talent? I've always found that people that are, they're problem solvers, they like to, puzzles, and they like to do different things, but also they're teachers, they're educators. And so they're educating by asking questions and that they're engaging. And I think through our life cycle of, the team that we've put in place, they've always started out, and I think Nigel hit on this, they started out in support and they kind of, migrate, that you see the differences from a personality or a skill set. And these people tend to lend themselves toward going into customer success. And they want to be engaged. They want to know what the customer is doing. They want to have those relationships. And so those folks just kind of make their way over. And then you're going to have other people who are going to be rock stars at the support side. So, we've kind of seen people work their way up a little bit. We've brought some people in from the outside that have worked out fantastic, but just due to the nature of our business, it helps to have a background in knowing currencies and all the different fundamentals. But yeah, it's almost like these people are, I like to use the term like they're teachers. They like to be able to teach to their clients what they're doing rather than preach.
Totally agree on that because why require success is really to help our customers succeed, right? It's similar to like how the teachers are helping their students to succeed in their journey. Yeah, so I think being the fact to really like to teach, to impart the knowledge is definitely one of the characteristics of like a very good customer success specialist or advocate. Before we kickstart the Q&A, maybe over to Chloe, a very quick one. On your side, how do you see CS and support evolve during the very short 1+ years that you are in Talenox? There are a lot of changes for sure. Yeah, be it like product cycle updates and so on. Yeah, so it would be great to hear from you regarding that.
Yeah, actually, just a comment on Chris's. I think that's a super relevant point. It's true, customer success people are actually educators, but they're also innately curious, I feel. So because they're always willing to search for more knowledge, search for more knowledge and find out ways to help their people, to help the people that they're serving, the customers that they're serving. So yeah, I felt like that was such a relevant point, and it was really informative for all of our users. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, in terms of my experience so far in CS, it's been quite a journey. But in terms of things that ties back to Chris's point also in terms of teaching and educating our users, I think one of the things that we have definitely improved on throughout my entire tenure with Talenox so far is it's like how we have tried to help encourage curiosity and independent learning with our customer base. So we actually encourage active learning on our users' side to achieve success with little guidance, as little guidance along the way. So how we have actually achieved that is through at the start, obviously, they'll be asking a lot of questions. But from there, we'll try to improve on our knowledge base, how we have in a way formed a community of experts through all the resources that we have readily available on hand. So it's not just people there hand-holding our customers, helping them answer questions on the spot through support and such. It's also there being active sources of reference for our users. And that's through our knowledge center that we have created. So in terms of teaching them, we have used all of these guides to help them to encourage more active learning on their part. Whatever resources are available, we have it available for them to refer to. So I think that's a quite relevant point that all success teams need. They need to always be able to have that knowledge base for customers to always refer to. And one more thing is also automation. I think how we have helped help to scale customer success throughout this past 1.5 years is through things like automating our feedback collection through like MailChimp links, sending out like type forms and such. So all this can be centered on scale, which is easier for us to take back, shift through, and be able to get more feedback along the way in a more like condensed way, so that we can actually review the data and see like how we can actually improve our user interaction, our processes in place from there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Chloe. I think we don't have much time for another question, so let's head over to Q&A. Since this is the last fireside chat, I think we have a bit more flexibility. Am I right, Kenneth, in terms of the timing?
Yeah, go ahead. Just ask.
Okay, great. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through a chat or through Q&A. I think there are some questions that were messaged to me privately. So one interesting question would be the topic of machine learning. I think as you are using all the different customer support and success platforms, be it intercoms, and there's Freshdesk and so on, you realize that more and more of them start to have this thing called a bot, and they will do their best to kind of like answer as many of the high level questions as much as possible. Of course, you need to train it well. So do you think that there will be a stage where machine learning will kind of like take over customer support till it can be fully handled by the bot? If yes or no, why then? I think I'll pose this question to Chloe first.
Okay, so I actually think in the future that there's a real possibility, but that really depends on the progress of like any AI capabilities, bot capacity to actually emulate human feelings, like empathy, understanding. So dependent on like how far our progress goes, like our progress with AI capabilities and and development. For now, machine learning is not at the place we want it to be, obviously, because we have to manually train it. There's still a lot of manual processes involved in order to get them to the place where we need them to be. So for example, like Talenox uses resolution bot via intercom, which takes like very basic customer queries. And the good thing about this is that it really helps to save time on repeated questions, helps to automate article suggestions. But at the same time, the machine learning is still very slow, and it doesn't necessarily work the way you want to, which is not scalable, because in that way, it doesn't give a seamless customer support interaction and experience to all of our users. So hopefully, with AI capabilities like developing, we will be able to achieve that in the future, but at this point, not yet. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, great. Chris, what about you? Do you guys over in Ebury use any bot or going to explore, you feel that it's impossible for a bot to kind of emulate whatever Ebury is actually looking out for?
It's tough. I mean, you kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, because you'd like to implement it to help with the processes, but you also know in the business that we do, there's a liability aspect to it as well, because we're dealing with a lot of large financial transactions, currency and payments taking place. So if there are areas that we can automate some of that, we will look into it. We haven't done that yet, but I do think at a certain point there will be some aspects of what we do and what we provide that can be, general Q&A type questions that people that need help with something, and we do user guides and everything else. But when it comes to very specific payment and financial type related questions, I don't think we'll ever be able to do that because of the liability issue and the funds that are changing hands.
That's a very interesting perspective in terms of liability kind of perspective. I didn't really thought about that. So I think having another like private message from one of the audience is like, what are the important metrics that that a CS like a success team should actually look at? maybe Nigel, you can share regarding this, since I have evolved a lot from starting up and now to a scale up. There are definitely metrics that you kind of like track every now and then.
Yeah, and just before I go on to that one, I just wanted to have a little say about the bot thing.
No problem.
If you don't mind. Because we actually had quite a good experience with the transition between the two. So we started off with the bot idea, and then we abandoned that and went into sort of live chat. And just one of the noticeabilities or observations that we had was that, you know, typically when people reach out, they want to reach out to people. You know, people want to talk to people. I think the idea, and as Chloe said, and she hit it spot on, I think as these technologies get a little bit more advanced and sophisticated, maybe yes. But I do believe that a lot of customers, you know, we live in a world where everything's digital, everything's controlled by bots, and I would love to go and sit on a beach, switch on the bot, and let the bot deal with all the questions and queries that we have. But I actually think it's part of the value creation that you get, or shared value that you get from having a point-to-point contact, from a person-to-person point of view. I do think technology from a bot perspective, from a support point of view, can definitely make it more efficient. But I don't believe, I just have this feeling, maybe it's because I'm a people's person, but I just don't believe it'll ever be replaced completely, because of items like Chris has mentioned, etc. But anyway, back to your question. I think
no problem.
And it's really about the nature of the product, right? So the key metrics that we look at is response time, and how quickly do we resolve, but properly resolve a ticket, a query, or whatever it may be with a customer. I think nature of product, again, Chris's point around, you know, if people don't get paid, you know, there's London burns down, and I think the same happens in terms of, you know, we live in a day and age where we expect a response right now, or we want something sorted out right now. We have a small challenge in our London office that, yes, we've got 20 hours support a day, because we've got you know, support all over the world, and we've managed to achieve a 24-hour clock essentially by just being in different territories, which has helped us along the way. But we do notice that customers get frustrated when they have to wait until the next day to get a response, because typically the nature of our product, Gordon, you know, HR, workforce management, payroll, people just do not have the time. They want something sorted out immediately. So I do think response time, but being able to track that effectively from a resolution point of view, not just we've sent an automated email back to the customer to say, here's your ticket number, but more being able to jump on the task immediately and have a resolution. So for us, I think a key metric, just due to the nature of the product, is our response time, but resolution time, which is really more important to us than response.
Totally agree on this. Chris, do you have like any key metrics that you kind of like look into on your end?
Yeah, I mean, ours is response time as well. I mean, we track that internally. We also do surveys with our clients, you know, ask them where we're doing well, where we can do better, areas for improvement. We try, I mean, now we're talking about scale, we start to identify customer success or client service managers to assign to specific accounts, so that they are like, you know, a dedicated person that's working with that business inside and out. But it is response time. I think everybody wants an answer, and they want it right away, and they want to know what you're going to do. And so we try to empower people to be problem solvers as well, because there's, you know, sometimes I think people feel like they need to work it up the food chain to get specific answers on specific items. We'd rather our guys be equipped to be able to provide that. Response time is probably the number one thing that we track internally, but then we also get feedback from our clients through our surveys, you know, where we could add more value and more service to what they need us to do. And it's interesting in some of the feedback we get. You know, a lot of times it's just to be able to have 24/7 access to somebody that can help them. I mean, we try to provide that, but sometimes it's just, this doesn't work. I mean, the banks are not open on the weekends, so nothing's going to happen on Saturday and Sunday unless you're in, you know, the UAE or something. So, but yeah, I think just everybody just wants to get an answer. They want to get a right answer right away.
I think the main thing is because of instant gratification. Because of like all the apps that we have nowadays, we always get all the games and so on. We always get the kind of instant gratification, and of course, whatever we are doing with, especially for some of us in the payroll and HR space, is very time sensitive. Yeah, so totally understand that. And thank you so much for sharing. I think today we have a really great session. Thanks to Nigel from Roubler, Chris from Ebury, and Chloe from Talenox on your selfless sharing regarding this. Hand over to Kenneth, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Gordon, for being such a wonderful moderator, right? And to Chloe, Chris, and Nigel for being such wonderful panelists. So to everybody attending this final fireside chat, I do hope, right, that their opinions and what they mentioned were of great insight to you, right, and of great value, so that, you know, you can like take it home and see how you can improve your company's maybe customer success portion, or even like build on it. So we've come to the end of the fireside chat number 6. So let me just stop the streaming first. All right.